This week on the Airbnb Insider Series, we are going to talk about hosting. Where do I start? I'm Candice Keeling and I'm a licensed real estate agent in London, Ontario. The most common question I get asked is, where do I start? So I'm going to give you guys a first few steps on how you can get started on hosting on Airbnb. These are not just applicable in Ontario, you can use these when you're hosting all over the world. First thing you're going to want to do is check your local laws. Make sure you're actually allowed to do Airbnb. Airbnb exploded very quickly all over the world, and some places are still catching up with regulations for it. So before you get too into the idea of doing Airbnb, you might want to do a quick Google search, check your local laws, and make sure you're allowed to do it. But if you're planning on purchasing a condo or you want to do this in a condo that you already own, you're going to want to check the condo rules and regulations. They might be called something different depending on what area of the country you're in. So it could be a declaration as well. But basically you're checking the rules. You're finding out, is Airbnb allowed in the condo? So that's the first thing you're going to do before you even finish watching this video or continue on. The second thing I'm going to suggest you do is join the Insider group. It's called Insider Airbnb with Candice Key on Facebook, and we talk about everything about hosting. Okay, how much are you going to get? How much to charge? Do you charge a cleaning fee? All that kind of stuff. We can get into the nitty-gritty details. You can even post photos of your house and ask us, what should I do with it? Should I add a couch? Should I add an extra bed? Should I do a pull-out couch? How can I make this a really good Airbnb? So that Facebook group is high value for you to ask any questions that you want and interact with hosts from around the world. It's growing really quickly, so I do suggest you get it now. The third thing you're gonna wanna do when you're hosting on Airbnb is, if you have a good relationship with your neighbors, I do suggest chatting with your neighbors and letting them know that you might be getting a roommate or hosting out on Airbnb, just so that they don't think someone's breaking into your house if someone's going into the house when you're not home. It's just an extra kind of bonus thing that you should think about, because the neighbors might actually call the police if they don't know who's going in your house. So talk to your neighbors before you do it. Another really important thing that you want to do before you host on Airbnb is think about what kind of host you want to be. And that's going to be related to who you are naturally as a person. For me, I have a no alcohol, no marijuana policy in my home, and everybody that comes in the house has to abide by that policy. So what do you want your home to say about you? What do you want the experience to say about you? Maybe you're a wine connoisseur and maybe you want to invite a lot of people that like to drink wine, or maybe you want to do added value and have like a specific type of breakfast or provide food. You can make the Airbnb experience whatever you want to. So what kind of rules do you want to lay down, and what's going to make you feel really comfortable about hosting on Airbnb? This is really important for you to think about so that you're attracting guests that are pretty much going with the same flow that you're on. Okay, some people want to have interaction, they want to chat, they want to do all that kind of thing. Some people want to go in their room, they want to close the door, and they don't want to socialize at all. And that's fine. There's no right or wrong for how you're going to do this, but it is really important to set up the right mindset to attract like-minded people. It's going to be really fun if you're doing Airbnb in your own home, not renting out a separate unit. It is going to be a really fun experience. You're going to meet people from all over the world. So get excited about it, have fun with it, and ask lots of questions about it. Another thing that you want to prepare for where do you start when you host is, if you know someone who's already hosting, this is a little bonus tip. If you know someone who's already hosting, get them to send you a referral code. You get bonus money for getting a referral code from someone else who's already hosting on Airbnb, and they get a bonus code for referring you. So if you're thinking about starting, you can get lots of different codes from the Insider group on Facebook, or you can search for codes if you already know someone who's hosting, and then you're gonna get a little bit of extra money. So more money, more fun. One more thing I'm gonna suggest when you're hosting for the first time is don't have Instant Book on. Instant Book means that someone's gonna be able to book your house without you approving them first. I think it's really important that you're comfortable and you're aware of who's coming in your house before you start taking on a lot of bookings. So I personally recommend Instant Book off. Depending on if you're doing a separate unit or if you're renting out rooms in your home, you're gonna wanna decide if you wanna put Instant Book on after, but just leave it off for the beginning so that you can decide who's coming in. I also recommend when you're starting, don't accept anyone without any reviews. I know everyone has to start Airbnb somewhere, so there's always gonna be a guest that needs to start there one time and get their first review. But you as a new host do not need to take on a brand new person who does not understand Airbnb. I'm an experienced host, and Some of the things that I wish I knew before I started booking was when you take on people without reviews that haven't used it before, they might not understand the way Airbnb works. And a lot of times people are expecting a hotel experience from Airbnb. And that's just something that cannot be provided by someone inside their home. It is a completely different experience. At my home here in London, where I Airbnb out rooms, I provide breakfast. I provide eggs, toast, whatever. I'm in the home. I can make sure that things aren't going moldy and things aren't going bad. Before you start hosting, you might want to think about what you want to include in that. And you might want to think about what type of people you want to bring in. And you're not probably going to want to bring a lot of food into a house if you're doing a separate unit. You might not want to provide breakfast because if the food's going bad, you're not going to be there to throw it out, especially for a long-term booking, but that's totally preference. Okay, so I hope you guys enjoyed that video. If you want more content or if you think I missed any really good tips for people before they're thinking about hosting, let me know. The things that we talked about today in conclusion were check out your neighborhood. Make sure you're actually allowed to do it under your bylaws or in your condo board if that's what you're doing. Let your neighbors know what's going on. Also, what does your Airbnb want to say about you? And what kind of people do you want to attract into your Airbnb? Lastly, have fun.